Here it is, January 2024, and my plan this year was to knock off some of the 837 projects I've got on my list in the shop. One of those projects includes taking that 1968 Honda CB 175 Sloper and build some kind of mount to bolt it right up there on the wall. Yeah, I have an idea, I just don't have a plan yet. The only thing I do have is, well, there's that welder sitting right there, and back over in that corner is a bunch of steel and a chop saw. So, at this point, that's all we have. Okay, after having a little bit of time to think about it, a few decisions were made. One, I think I'm gonna have it facing this way on the wall. Just because, I don't know why. But the easiest thing to do would be make two big L brackets for each side, piece of channel steel between for the tires to sit on, strap it down. Easy peasy. But two reasons I don't want to do that. One, I don't want it sitting on the tires, because if you had it just strapped down, the tires go flat, it's going to sink down, the straps are going to get loose. No good. Two, it just doesn't look clean. I wanted the bike to look more like it's floating up on the wall, not have this big giant shelf that it's sitting on. It doesn't weigh that much. I think it's stock trim with all the street stuff on. These were like 264 pounds, so it's less than that. Even if we'll just say 250. That's, it doesn't take much to hold it up there. One of the brackets will go right through the frame where I've got it bolted to the table here. I'll use a 1/2 inch grade 8 bolt, and technically that 1/2 inch grade 8 bolt would hold this whole bike up. That's not the only bracket I'm going to put on it. I will put more, but that there would support the entire weight of it. Everything else is just extra supports and stability. So I think my plan was, or still is, to make some brackets on the backside that only mount to the backside that's up against the wall. So once it's up there, you don't see any brackets at all holding this thing. Essentially, it'll look like it's just literally floating off of the wall. I don't have any draft, no blueprints, no drawings of how I want this to go. Most of the stuff I make is just off the cuff, build as I go, measure as I go, from just a thought in my head. It'd be nice if I had an actual drawing with measurements, but I don't. Well, fellas, we got a problem. Gulls look good, nice penetration. No, that's all good to go. Well, see, that looks pretty good. I measured out from the center of the wheel, it's 4 inches, dead on. It's supposed to be to the wall mounting bracket 13 overall. So 4 inches minus 13 is 9. Yeah, that's not quite 9 inches. All right, I've got this cut in half, and if you saw on the camera, I had notched this out to go around where the little ears are on the forks that bolt the fender to it, so that won't interfere and set on it, and then just use the benchmark 2-inch quick disconnect a flap disc or the little sanding disc, take off all the burrs so it wasn't digging into this. It's 1/4 inch wall, and is it way overkill? It is, but here's the deal. It's what I had in stock that fit for the idea of this tubing to fit over the OD of the forks. So that's what we're gonna use. All right, you'll notice when I put it on there, it does fit with a little bit of wobble, a little bit of slop, which is perfect because before it's finally on its final mount, I am gonna line the interior with like a rubber gasket material. So once it's strapped on there, it's not a metal on metal contact holding it. It will have a rubber between here and the aluminum forks to help protect it, just for vibration of the building and windstorms and whatnot. So that little bit of slop will be perfect when it's taken up with the gasket. For now, I just need to clamp it on with some zip ties or something just to hold it in place, get this mounted up here, and get me a measurement from here to the plate so I can cut the stand off that goes from here over to the plate and get that welded on. All right, here's where we are. This portion here was all built exactly as the front was. Same style bracket here that mounts to the axle bolt, same standoff, same plate, still a 1/4 inch by 6 inches by 24, 25. Up here, there's a tab or a mounting spot, and right here on the back, there was original part of the frame that I believe probably the seat and maybe the rear fender would have originally bolted to. So I just have this pipe going over to a tab that just bolts right to that same spot. So that way it's bolted to the upper part of the rear subframe and the swing arm. And so now we just got to tack weld these in. Like take an iron fully welded and then just with some sanding and grinding, these should be pretty much done. All right, what we got here is it's a super thick vinyl used actually for doing heat transfers for rhinestones. It's a adhesive on one side. So I think I'm just gonna trim this down and stick this in here. It's fairly thick as far as vinyl goes, but I think I'm just gonna do 2 layers of it because I've got a little piece here, that's scrap piece left over from a project. So I should just be able to lay in there, trim it down, and do 2 layers to give it a little bit of protection so it's not metal on metal once I clamp this to the fork. But we'll see. There, that should do it. Give it a little bit of padding between the fork to take up that little bit of play that I showed you was in there earlier. It should take up most of that play, but also just basically the biggest thing is just keep it from being metal on metal contact. All right, let's go get it installed. Okay, here we are back at this project. I'm trying to remember where we left off. It's been a couple of days. I got busy working on projects that actually pay the bills. I'm sure you can understand that. I think we left off where I was tacking the rear standoff onto the plates, is where I think we left off, or was fully welding, I don't remember for sure. But as you can see, we've got these back from the powder coaters, aka Rust-Oleum Thundercloud. It looked like that was probably the closest color was gonna match my walls. So once I bolt them up there, they kind of blend in was the plan. I think at this point, it's just bolt them on for the final time, put some Loctite on the threaded portions, and load it on the forklift, get ready to put it on the wall. All right, let's get to it. All right, well, there it is, finished project. Zoom in a little bit. If you look, you can't even see the mounts where it's bolted to the wall, which was my whole plan in the beginning, was try to make it look like it's just floating there. And I think I accomplished that. All right, still not completely 100% finished, because I want to go right underneath of it here and put a little nameplate that has the model and make and everything on it, and just so it looks a little nicer and you know what it is. But other than that, it's pretty much a completed project. I mean, you got to admit, that's pretty cool, right? I mean, who doesn't want some motorcycles hanging on the wall of their shop? All right, thanks for watching. Okay, before I close this out, I almost forgot. Now that we have these two mounted, question is, do we go on this side of the post and try to do the same thing with my 1996 Suzuki GSXR 750 race bike? Let me know what you think in the comments. All right, have a great day.